Hi everyone, it's Kelly here. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time, welcome back if you've been before. Lovely to have you either way. On this channel we talk books, and today I am bringing you a haul from the month of February. Now often when have been bringing you book hauls in the past, I have a pile of new books and a pile of secondhand books, which I definitely do have today. Normally with the new books I've probably got, it's maybe half the size of the secondhand books. This week, I've only bought 2 new books, and the rest were all secondhand. So I'm going to share those with you now. We're going to start with the new books, and then we'll move into the secondhand portion of this video. So let's start with the first new book that I picked up this month, and that was On the Calculation of Volume 1. So this is the first book in this series, which is written by Solvej Balle and is translated from the Danish by Barbara J. Haveland. So this book was longlisted, at least, possibly shortlisted for the International Booker. Did it win? I don't know that it won. I don't think it did, but a lot of people were talking about this and they were really getting into this series. So this one was actually purchased with money that my sister and her family gave me as part of my birthday present. So that's what I used to pay for this one. And yeah, I'm really pleased to have it in my collection now and to get to it at some point soon. This is a story about a woman who is sort of like on a Groundhog Day situation where she keeps waking up on the same day over and over and over again, and yeah, it sort of goes from there. So you know, if you haven't already heard about this, I don't know where you've been, but it sounds really interesting. And the other new book that I did pay for with my money, so this is actually the only book I bought with my money brand new this month, is the first book in the Eden of Witches graphic novel series. So in this book, and it is by Yumeji. I don't really know a lot about this one, but what I read in the blurb sounded very interesting. What I didn't realise, because my bookstore had their sticker over the top of this, is that this is a teenage, it says teen 13 plus. So this is a book that's written for younger people. I guess that's middle grade if it's 13 plus, so maybe I'll read it in March because of middle grade March. But let me tell you a little bit about it. It says, long ago, plants and animals lived in harmony until the humans arrived. Unable to coexist with other species, humans mercilessly destroyed everything in their path, forcing fauna and flora to go into hiding. For hundreds of years, the world has been nothing but a vast, barren desert. Luckily, a few pockets of nature still exist, sanctuaries of witches, extraordinary women who can hear the call of the plants. Despite their abilities, humans despise witches and blame them for the disappearance of nature. As it turns out, a young witch named Pili grew up in one of these sanctuaries. Raised by the powerful witch Tura, Pili tries to develop her powers, but nothing seems to work. Tura then gives Pili a seed to encourage her. She says that it will one day lead Pili to Eden, a lavish garden reserved for elite witches. As an apprentice, Pili has no desire to leave Tura and her home, but everything falls apart when armed men invade the sanctuary. Faced with the bloody massacre of her home, Pili loses all hope until suddenly Tura's seed gives life to an enormous wolf-plant hybrid creature. Now it comes down to this: can the wolf guide Pili to the land of the chosen ones? So yeah, I really thought that sounded interesting, and also I think the art is really beautiful. Here's the moment with the aforementioned wolf. So it's really beautiful art, and I'm interested to find out what happens in this story. And if I really like it, maybe I will get more books in that follow on from this one. But yeah, I'm happy to just have volume 1 for now, and then we'll see what happens. I don't know if this has been translated. It doesn't specifically say on the front piece. So yeah, I'm not sure. Perhaps it was written in English or translated by the author. So yeah, I'm going to read that one at some point. Okay, so that's it for the new books. Now we move on to the secondhand books. Now, I've got 2 books that were gifted to me by somebody, but they are secondhand, so they're books that this person had read and then has passed on to me. And this person is somebody who works at the physio, or she's just finishing up working at the physio, so she's no longer going to be there, which I'm really sad about because we used to have a lot of chats about books each time. And the reason she's leaving is because she's moving to a different part of the state where I live. And so anyway, we had been talking, and she was talking about books that she had recently read, and I sounded interested in them, so she decided to gift me 2 of them, which was very, very kind. And one was The Wedding People by Alison Espach. This is one that lots of people have been talking about, and I've been keen to get it, but I keep seeing it new and thinking, no, I'm sure I'll be able to get a secondhand copy at some point. And I'd mentioned this to her, and she's like, "Do you want mine?" So yeah, I was like, "Yeah, if you're happy to give it to me, I'd love to take it off your hands." So basically, this is about a woman who goes to a big beachside hotel in Rhode Island, wearing her best dress and her least comfortable shoes. And she is immediately mistaken for one of the wedding people, but she's actually the only guest at this inn who isn't there for that event. And yeah, basically she is a divorced person, and she's very depressed, and she's, I think, making some plans, but she and this woman, the bride, sort of end up becoming friends, I guess, or working through some stuff together. So I'm interested to read this one. I hope that I enjoy it because it sounds really good. So yeah, I'm really pleased to now have that one in my collection. The other one that she had been talking about that she has gifted to me, which I didn't know she was going to do, is The Names by Florence Knapp. My mum also recently read this one and really loved it, said it was really great. So basically, my understanding of this book is that this is 3... so a mother gives birth to a little boy, and there are 3 different names that she's considering to give the baby, and this follows like the 3 different paths that he may have gone on if he had been named each of those 3 things, which sounds super interesting. So yeah, I think it should be a good read. So I'm really pleased to have it and be able to pick it up whenever I'm ready. All right, let's move on now to some books that I paid cash money for. So I've got a set of books here that are ones that I picked up from an online secondhand bookseller. And they were most of them are ones that I had on my wish list for some time, and so I just decided to see, and was able to get them at a reasonable price, so I decided to pick them up. And other ones that I was looking for, that hadn't been on my wish list, but I was specifically looking for. So one of those is this very, very tiny book called Migrant Psalms Poems by Darrel, Alejandro, Holnes. This is the Drinking Gourd Chapbook Poetry Prize, it says on the front. And if I'm not mistaken, do I have any information about this in here? No, I can't recall. Oh, we've got a friend. Xanthi's joining us. Hello. Have you come to sit with us while we do our video? Thank you. Okay, let me see. About the author. He is the recipient of a National Endowment for the Arts Literature Fellowship in Creative Writing Poetry. His poems have appeared in various places. No, this is not the information I'm looking for. I don't think we have a little summary for this one, but basically it's a small poetry collection, which... Oh, here we go. There is a foreword. Okay, in the words of its author, this chapbook prays for a way to make sense of immigration to the United States. Though he was born in Houston, Darrel Alejandro Holnes was raised in a suburb of Panama City, Panama, to Panamanian parents, only returning to the United States at age 17 to attend college in New Orleans. Okay, so that's his background. So I bought this one specifically because he's a Panamanian author. So yeah, looking forward to that one. The other one, which I will pull out of this stack, is a non-fiction book that I heard referenced in another non-fiction book that I'm currently reading about tides, and this is called, actually, is it non-fiction? I guess it technically is. The Oxford Book of the Sea by Jonathan Raban. This is basically a collection of classic writing for the most part about the sea. Some of it is poetry, some of it is short stories, some of it is excerpts of novels and things like that. So yeah, it just sounded really interesting, and I thought it would be a really fun book to take with me when I'm going on a trip to the ocean or the sea, for example. That sounded like a good idea. So yes, I picked that one up. Then while I was shopping, I was like, let me see what else is on my wish list that I might be able to get cheaper here than if I were to buy it brand new. So I have another non-fiction, which is called Parisian Lives, Samuel Beckett, Simone de Beauvoir and Me, a memoir by Deirdre Bair, or Bair. This, I can't remember where I heard about this one, but it's been sitting on my wish list for a little bit. But basically, the author is a journalist who managed to secure access in 1971 to Nobel Prize winning author Samuel Beckett. He agreed that she could write his biography despite never having written or even read a biography herself. The next 7 years of intimate conversations, intercontinental research, and peculiar cat-and-mouse games resulted in Samuel Beckett, a biography, which went on to win the National Book Award and propel Deirdre to her next subject, Simone de Beauvoir. The catch, de Beauvoir and Beckett despised each other and lived essentially on the same street, while quite literally dodging one subject or the other, and sometimes hiding out in the back rooms of the great cafes of Paris. Over the next decade, Bair, I'm not sure how to say this author's surname, honed another groundbreaking profile with the domineering and difficult de Beauvoir. Drawing on Bair's extensive notes from the period, including never-before-told anecdotes and details that were considered impossible to publish at the time, Parisian Lives is full of personality and warmth and gives us an entirely new window on the all-too-human side of these legendary thinkers. So it sounds really great and very interesting, so I'm keen to get to this one at some point. And as I say, it was on my wish list for some time. Another one that was on my wish list is The Diary of a Nobody by George and Weedon Grossmith. This is the Wordsworth Classics edition, and I have heard good things about this one, and basically this is sort of following a guy who's just like a regular guy, but I think the bits of it that I think will be very interesting are sort of what it's like being a guy at the time period in which it's set. So the character that we're following is called Charles Puter of the Laurels, Brickfield Terrace, Holloway, a clerk in the city of London, and it chronicles in hilarious detail the everyday life of the lower middle class during the Great Victorian Age. So it sounds really good, and I'm very interested to read that one. Another book that I've heard great things about is Larry's Party, though I couldn't really tell you what it's about, so let's find out together. This is by Carol Shields of the Carol Shields Prize. So it says, this is the story of floral designer Larry Weller, an ordinary man in search of himself. Larry and his naive young wife Dorrie spend their honeymoon in England. In the ordered riotousness of Hampton Court's maze, Larry discovers the passion of his life. Perhaps his ever-growing obsession with mazes may help him find a way through the bewilderment deepening about him as, through 20 years and 2 failed marriages, he endeavours to understand his own needs and those of parents, friends, lovers, and a growing son. A writer of miraculous grace and an unrivalled observer of ordinary men and women in all their extraordinary variety and vulnerability, Carol Shields has already produced some of the most remarkable fiction of our times. And in this book, she presents an ironic odyssey through the life of a modern man from the late 70s through to 1997. The mundane is made magnificent by a perception which finds the drama in life's detail poignant, peculiar, or simply absurd. So, it sounds really good, but yeah, I just had heard good things about it, so just on the strength of that. Oh, this is nice big print as well. So that should be a good read at some point. So that was the ones that I picked up from the secondhand store online. Now to ones that I have picked up from my adventures thrifting books. So a lot of these have come, I've got one set that have come from a book specific place, and then the first three that I'm going to show you were from a sort of general secondhand store, and I just looked in their book section. So the first one that I picked up is, I don't love the cover of this one. These are from Vinnie's, but the book is called Seed by Bri Lee. This is a book that only just came out last year in 2025, which is why I picked it up to sort of out of curiosity, because I knew this was her most recent release. I have never read any Bri Lee before, but yeah, this just sounded really interesting. So on the back it says, Mitchell is a brilliant biologist committed to the environment and the growing global anti-natalist movement. For 1 month each year, he lives with his colleague Francis in a utopia of radical equality and scientific dedication in Antarctica. They are concluding the Anarctos project, a seed vault in an isolated secret location. It is a biodiversity insurance policy against humanity's devastating effects on the rapidly warming planet. When their helicopter doesn't pick them up and strange things begin to happen, their faith in science is suddenly not enough. Mitchell has been keeping big secrets from Francis and from himself. The ice haunts him with memories of a devastating betrayal, and questions of legacy and fairness crowd his mind. If they don't get back to McMurdo Station before the last flight home, they face a long, dark polar winter together, alone. As the days get shorter, these two people of firm logic and reason begin finding fault lines in their perfect social experiment. So yeah, this sounds really, really good, despite the fact that the cover is not very good. The next two books are part of a series, and I have the first book in this series already. So this is Freya Marske, and what is the name of the first one? A Marvelous Light is the first one, and these are queer historical fiction, I want to say. Possibly there's talking about magic, so I won't go into what's on the back of it, because this is the second book. I don't know how much of a series it is in the sense of needing to read them in order, or if they're just kind of within the same universe. But yeah, I've got book 2, A Restless Truth, and I've also got book 3, A Power Unbound. So yeah, I just picked these ones up because I do intend to read the book 1, A Marvelous Light, and then I thought, you know, these were very reasonably priced, so I decided to pick them up as well. All right, and then I just a couple of days ago went to a book-specific secondhand store and picked up a few books. So first of all, I got a couple of Terry Pratchett's from what is the name of this series again? Discworld. The Discworld books. So I managed to find Men at Arms and Feet of Clay and Soul Music. They had all three of those, and they were relatively cheap. So whenever I see a Pratchett, I pick it up because I do at some point intend to read through the full Discworld. At the moment, I'm just reading through the sequence of The Witches, which I believe I have all of the books of, or maybe I still need to get one more. But yeah, I at some point we'll get to those. Another one that I found, which again I'm having a lot of luck finding things in series in this month, but I picked up Those Who Leave and Those Who Stay by Elena Ferrante, which is part of the Neapolitan Quartet. This is book 3, and it's the only one I didn't have, and I had managed to find secondhand copies of all of the other ones and not this one, and then I found this one, so I was really pleased about that. Again, I don't want to read, because this is book 3, I don't want to read too much on the back, but I'm pleased to have that one now. And then these ones are not part of a series, they're standalones, but I was very excited to find them. First one is one that I hadn't heard of before, but it just sounded very interesting, and that is In the Margins by Gail, Holmes, and also a very beautiful design on the cover. When did this one come out, actually? Just out of interest, because I haven't heard of it before. It's kind of hard to know when we're talking about here. It came out in 2024, and it's published by Ultimo Press, which is an Australian publisher, so I presume that this is an Australian author. So it says, inspired by a real person, in the margins is the story of spirited book collector Frances Wolferston, the woman who uniquely preserved the earliest part of Shakespeare's legacy. England, 1647, as civil war gives way to an uneasy peace and Puritanism becomes the letter of the law, Frances Wolferston, a rector's wife, is charged with enforcing religious compliance by informing on her parishioners. This awful task triggers memories of her mother Alice, who inspired Frances's love of books and secretly practiced Catholicism at great risk. Conflicted, she doesn't report a reclusive and mysterious midwife to delay her going to jail. As Frances takes increasingly bold steps to help the women and children of the parish, she attracts the ire of a patron of the church who questions why Frances collects books that she charges are entertainment. When her mother is jailed for religious crimes, the secrets Frances hides from her husband begin to surface, and she is faced with an impossible choice: comply with the strict dictates of the new laws, or risk everything to free the women she cares for. So this just sounds really, really interesting. And actually, as I'm reading that blurb, I'm realizing I think I did hear about this one when it came out, and I then forgot about it. So I'm glad to have come across it again, and for it now to be in my collection. And the last book that I picked up was one I was very excited to find, because again, it only just came out in 2025, and that is Vianne. I mentioned before that these books were standalones. It's not. This is part of a series also. But this is by Joanne Harris, and this is Vianne is the main character from the book Chocolat, which was also made into a film, which I really loved. And actually, I would say is the film I have watched the most recently, because I watched it somewhere towards the end of last year. Is that true? Is it the most recent film I've seen? Quite possibly. Anyway, this book, after a very, very long break in between, because there were already, I believe, 4 books in that series, of which I have read 3, and not in order. I've read the first 2, and then I think I've read book 4, not realizing that book 3 existed. Anyway, this one came out last year and is a 5th book in the series. We'll see. We'll see how we go with it. Okay. I don't want to read the back of it, but this is part of that series. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to have this because also Joanne Harris has been an auto-buy author for me. I really need to get to some more of her work this year, because I do have several on my shelves of hers that I have not read. Or maybe even do a reread of some of her other work. So yeah. Very, very exciting haul for February. More books than I was intending to get, that's for sure. But yeah, just sometimes you've got to just go with the serendipity of the moment, especially with the secondhand shopping. I'm also going to show you 2 really cool notebooks that I picked up at that same store where I bought the books that I was just telling you about. So I have this really cool notebook, which is a dot journal, and it's by Bespoke Letterpress. And yeah, so it's just I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it's a dot journal, petite notebook it's called. I think it's really, really beautiful. And then I also picked up this tiny notebook, and this one is a Paper Blanks Flexus, is the Paper Blanks Flexus journal. And this is a lined one, but it's really, really lovely cover. And it's got this sort of like a sprayed edge situation that is a little bit like antique-y looking, and it's just really beautiful. So I was very excited to find that. And I'm also going to show you, before I go, one last thing, which is that I also picked up a children's book while I'm there, and I decided I'm going to show you this one, even though I don't normally show you when I pick up children's books, because this is one of my favourite children's books, and that is Noni the Pony by Alison Lester. Alison Lester is an Australian children's author, This is a board book version of this book, but this is a favourite of mine because this character is delightful. She's a delightful horse, pony, if you will. And she also has some friends. Let me find her friends for you. Oh, also, she lives... these are the ladies next door who moo while when she's dancing. But she also has these lovely little friends, which is a dog and a cat. Sorry, I'll show you there. Dave Dog and Coco the cat. And they're very, very sweet. So the illustrations are just very cute. But also the rhyme is lovely. It's a lovely little story about a gorgeous little character. So if ever you come across this in your travels, or if you're looking for a book to gift to a little person in your life, I would highly recommend Noni the Pony. Alright, on that note, I'm going to go now. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I will catch you on the next one. Bye.